she gets that, are you ready?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Bob Kelsheimer. I'm the Executive Director of the Greater Centralia Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome everybody here tonight to this forum. I appreciate you coming out. I appreciate the media all being here. And I also want to appreciate the Centralia Recreation Complex. Sonia German is in the back room, the lady with the pink shirt. If any of you have any questions, and bring them up here for the panel. So if you think of something while the forum is progressing, feel free to just raise your hand and she'll get you a question card. And with that, again, I appreciate you all being here tonight, and I'll turn it over to our moderator, who we also very much appreciate doing this for us, Bruce Kropp of WJBD News. Bruce?
Thank you very much, Bob Kelsheimer, for the introduction. We have basically two different races going on for City Council in Centralia. We have 2 4-year seats, and then we have 1 2-year seat that will be open in the April 7th election coming up next Tuesday. All of our candidates are here, and they drew to determine who would go first, and it so happens that the 2 candidates for the 2-year term ended up with number 1, Andre Marshall, and Warren Hynes, number 6. Carol Flanagan, who's out in the audience, is our timer. She'll tell you when you have your time is running out, and then she'll give you the red stop card when your time is out. At that point, we ask you to finish your sentence and sort of finish your thoughts. You don't have to stop in mid-sentence, but try and wrap things up once that stop card comes out. So we're going to start with our opening statements now with our number 1 candidate, George Guidish. George? Yes.
Hey, good evening. My name is George Guidish. 1983 graduate of Centralia. I have 3 kids and 3 stepchildren. After high school, I went into the Marines, and I have an honorable discharge from the Marines in 1987. For the past 25 years, I worked for the Department of Corrections. Currently, I hold the title of Senior Parole Officer. I currently service Clay, Effingham, Richland, and Shelby counties. That's currently what I do. I'm pretty close to retirement on that. I'm interested in being on City Council to better the City of Centralia. I'd like to see things go forward. There's a couple of things that I don't like the way that I see that they're operated in. But, no hard feelings against anybody. My motto generally is, if you don't like me, that's your problem. I'm never going to tell you what you want to hear. Thank you.
Thank you very much, George Guidish. Our next opening statement from Andre Marshall. Andre?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? My name is Andre Marshall. I'm currently on the council. I'm filling out a term vacated by Mr. Krutzinger. I was born and raised in Centralia. I graduated high school in 1996 and later went to SIU to get my bachelor's and master's degree. I'm currently working as a auditor for a company, and I cover the Metro East and Southern Indiana. I'm lucky to be married to my beautiful wife, Amanda. We've been married 8 years. Is that right? And we currently have 2 children, Carrington and Cree. And I'm just a proud Centralian and happy to be here, happy to answer questions and continue the progress that we have made.
Thank you very much, Andre Marshall, for your answer for your opening statement. We now move to the number 3 position, Bill Smith. Bill?
It might be better if you take that mic out.
Sure.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Bill Smith. I'm currently on the council. A little bit about my background. I was born and raised in Centralia, attended Centralia High School. Joined the Marine Corps. I met my wife during that time. We've been married over 40 years. I have 2 children, 5 grandchildren. I help her run the Sears store in Centralia. And I just appreciate the opportunity I've had to serve in the council. and hope to continue to serve to help the city of Centralia and move forward on what we started. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill Smith, for your opening statement. David's opening statement.
I'd like to first thank the Centralia Chamber of Commerce for putting on this forum and the citizens who are here and at home listening. My name is David Sauer. For 23 years, I was your resident circuit judge in Marion County. Before that, I practiced law in Centralia. My wife and I, Sherry, have both been very active in the community of Centralia. We've raised 3 children here who are all doing very nicely, thank you. About 4 years ago, my good friend Tom Ashby came to me and said he thought the city of Centralia was going in the wrong direction. And so he put together a team. We ran for city council and mayor and won. Well, about 2 weeks after we took office, the governor announced the closure of Murray Center. Bad start. We also found that the city of Centralia had no, and I mean 0, cash reserves. They had $11 million of new debt. $600,000, that big green pipe was sitting over there, and we had no money. It was deteriorating, and we had no money to put it in the ground. We found that there were certain road projects and other grants that had been unattended to. Later on in our term, we found over $500,000 of bills that for some reason didn't show up anywhere, just surprised us. Well, in other words, we were in trouble. We quickly laid off the human resources director, we laid off the assistant city manager, and hired Mr. Danny Ramey to do all 3 jobs. The council and the mayor, through that, our leadership, and through the hard work of Danny Ramey and the staff of the city of Centralia, things have dramatically improved. We've had many grant partnerships done in the past few years. That's just the start. But here, 4 years on, we've decreased the debt by almost 1/2. We have over $1.2 million in the bank. That's not enough for a town the size of Centralia, but it's a good start. And we have reduced real estate taxes 4 years in a row. To do more with less. Centralia is now strong and getting stronger. Why would you want to go back? I'm proud to be working with this Mayor Tom Ashby and the existing council. Your vote for Ashby for mayor and for Sauer, Smith, and Marshall for council will assure that the city of Centralia will continue moving forward.
Thank you, David Sauer. Next opening statement will come from Sue.
Thank you for that introduction, Bruce. I'm born and raised here from Centralia. My wife Ann in the back, and my son Gordon Cameron also back there. Also, there's a lot of things that I'm a graduate from Centralia High School in 2004. I went out to KC and studied a little bit of criminal justice, and I want to also look at the future of our goals and keep things going in our city moving forward. There's change, and I'm looking forward to making them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason Hunter. And the next response for the 3-minute opening statement comes from Warren.
Hello, my name is Warren Hynes. I was born in Spanish Town, Jamaica. I've lived in Centralia here for approximately 32 years. I'm married. I have 2 children, and I graduated from ITT Tech, so I'm an electronics engineer. I work for Local 841 Operators Union, and I feel I can make a difference in this community. Although this is my 2nd time running, I decided to run because someone asked me when I tried to make a difference, and so I decided to run in Centralia. And be your voice. I'll take time to listen to and try to bring it to the table. People know me in town because I do a lot of work for everybody else. I fix a lot of things, problem solver, and I want to be your elected candidate. Thank you.
Thank you, Warren Hynes. We'll now move to the 1-minute answer to member, and to be fair, we'll start with a different candidate each time, so no one has to go first all of the time. And we'll start first with the first answer to the first question from George Guidish. George, you want to come on up? And Jason Sylvia, I believe, is going to ask the first question.
George, there was a question submitted by one of the audience members. First question is, how do you see that you can make a difference in this community if elected?
Well, the biggest difference I can make is that, I don't owe anybody anything and nobody owes me anything. I'm a fairly independent operator. I'm going to tell you what I think. I very much dislike any type of cronyism or nepotism that goes on. If we're going to hire people in this city, they should be the best candidate regardless of any other reason for a job, not because they knew somebody or that we just thought they were next in line. If we're going to conduct business in this city, it needs to be without any kind of conflict of interest at all. I do believe there are a couple of those that exist, and that's what I would like to end. I think I can make that difference.
Thank you very much, George Guidish, for your answer to that question. And our next answer to the question comes from Andre Marshall. Andre.
Thank you for the question. If elected, I would just like to continue the progress that has already been made. The last fiscal budget that we passed shows that the current council is making progress. Going from a negative 21,000 to over $1 million surplus is evidence that someone is doing something right. I don't want to take the credit. I want to give credit to our city manager, and I also want to give credit to Public Works and city staff for their hard work and doing more with less. So I want to continue on the path that we're on, and I do not want to go back to how it was 4 years ago.
Thank you very much, Andre Marshall. The next answer to the question comes from Bill Smith.
I think a lot of what Andre said is the way I feel. When we got elected 4 years ago to this council, we were in serious trouble. And with hiring the people that we've hired and the senior management at City Hall and the staff have done a tremendous job. And now we're in a plus. So I think I'm the same as Andre. I want to 4 more years and move this forward and keep it going in the same direction that it is going. And I firmly believe that we're going in the right direction. I do not want to take a step back. I want to keep going. And with Andre being on the council with us, he's brought a lot to the plate in his accounting abilities and his numbers, and just really appreciate working with him. So thank you.
Thank you, Bill Smith, for your answer to the question. And the next answer comes from...
The reason I think I'm the best candidate and people I'm running with are the best candidates is because we have shown that we can take a problem and make it into something we can deal with, because we work well with people. We have different backgrounds here. Mr. Ashby knows a lot of people. I know a lot of people. We have formed partnerships. That's how you can run a city like Centralia without a lot of money, but still getting a lot done, and that's by getting along with people. And frankly, this cronyism stuff is a bunch of crap, and that kind of attitude is just not what this town needs. We need a good, positive attitude, and I think this council brought that to the town.
Now, next to the questions from Jason Hunter.
Obviously, I'm here to make a change in it. I want to see things move forward in the city. I think that with me, I like to be a people person. I'll talk to anybody. My wife tells you that I can't go into Walmart without running into somebody, and I'll stand there an hour and talk to them. That's just the way I am. I think that if I'm elected, I'm going to listen to anybody that has a question. I don't care what time it is, day or night. I will answer your question, whether it be a Facebook phone call, email, whatever. You know, I've got goals that I help. I've got, I'm born and raised here. Like I said, I'm looking forward to just trying to make a difference in this town. I also got to look at, my children are going to grow up in this town, and I want to make sure that they know that what this heritage of this town is and things. I also want to help make things go forward, whether it's with the current mayor, Mr. Ashby, or if it's Mr. Stover who gets elected. If I'm elected on the council, I plan on working with them to getting some things changed.
Thank you, Jason Hunter. Next answer to the question comes from Warren Hynes.
People, I don't know if I can make all the difference and address everybody's needs, but I'm sure I'm going to try and do my best to get it all resolved, because that's what I do. And I've never turned anybody away from talking to me, although sometimes my time is limited, but I think I can make a difference. Centralia has, and some things Centralia wasn't ready for, being that Centralia is getting smaller. And my ideas are to put Centralia back on the map. We got this railroad. The road was here for a long time, and it's totally gone. So hope you elect me, and we'll see what we can do about getting it all back.
Thank you very much, Warren Hynes. The next question will be answered first by Andre Marshall. Andre, if you want to come on up to the microphone. And the Shoppers Weekly will have this question.
My question for you is, what do you believe is the most important issue facing the citizens of Centralia, whether it be jobs, drugs, or violence?
That's a good question. I think they're all equally important. One thing that I think is very important is the image of Centralia. I think how we are perceived by our neighbors means a lot, because when people come to town and think about raising their kids here, how they perceive us really can make the difference. One of the things that the city has done in demolishing the dilapidated buildings, I'm proud to say that we're going to get the Holiday Inn Hotel down. That means a lot, because when people see a clean city, they're more apt to stay here. And as far as drugs, we just had a successful drug forum. So that's something that local law enforcement will have to take a look at.
Thank you very much, Andre Marshall. The next answer to the question comes from Bill Smith.
What do you believe is the most important issues facing the citizens of Centralia, whether it be jobs, drugs, or violence?
Well, I think they're all important. There's none that's not. Like Andre said, we just attended a drug symposium put on by a group of people. It was amazing. And I think that's something that everybody's going to work together on and move forward. Violence is sporadic. Only any is too much. And I think the job creation is going to come with the fact that the city's getting cleaned up and looking better and presentable and being more attractive, and financing things get under control, and the city has a better budget. I believe the jobs will follow.
Thank you, Bill Smith, for your answer to that question. The next answer comes from David Sauer.
The answer to that question is really all three, because how you approach more jobs, how you approach the drug problem, how you approach violence is really connected. Allison Austin conducted a SWOT survey where we said what are the strengths and weaknesses in Centralia, and we found that a large portion of majority of people would feel that Centralia has a problem with its image, our culture of poverty. We need to improve our image. We need to have a better attitude. As Judge Sanders said the other day, if you want to change your community so you have fewer drugs, you have to have and we need to all work together as a partnership and create this better community. I think it's an error to look at any one of these problems, because I think a better community means more jobs, fewer drugs, less violence.
Thank you, David. Sauer, James, answer to the question.
As the prior one said, I agree with them. All three are very important. I mean, you lead into one, the drugs cause the problems with the violence, which causes job issues. I mean, there being no jobs leads to, the drug issue and the violence. I mean, part of that is also being understaffed, our police department not being fully staffed. I mean, that's an issue that puts, runs into a safety issue. I mean, we need to work on something there so we can free up knock down the drugs, the violence, and so on. I mean, that's also getting more jobs to this town. I mean, we've got to work on if we can get jobs in here, it's also going to help people. Because that's where a lot of your violence is coming from, the violent crimes. There's no jobs. People's trying to do what they have to do to survive, and that's not the way we need to look. We need to better our city, because they will all stop and fix that issue if we can get more jobs. We'll stop with the violence and it will help with the drug issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason Hunter. The next answer to the question comes from Warren Hynes.
All of these issues are equally important. But to me, I feel it's more probably a job issue to everybody. If you bring business in, the community is going to grow and the drugs going to go down. And stop being discriminative to whether jobs come in or people, just let them help build this community. And we'll see a big change in Centralia. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Warren Hynes. The final answer to the question comes from George.
Could you read the question again, please?
What do you believe is the most important issue facing the citizens of Centralia? Jobs, drugs, or violence?
Well, I'm going to answer that and say that the most important issue in this town is the citizens. It's not, I create jobs. Politicians do not create jobs. You have to have a company that has something that people want to buy, to have a business, to have it, to keep it alive. It's got to be something. The citizens of this town, I'd like to say that we're a tale of two cities. We're about 85% very good people who work hard every day and try to do the right thing. And we have 15% of this town who are just seems like the biggest thugs who complete over and over and over, get in trouble. Somehow we've got to reinstate a DARE program so we can educate the young kids to remain drug-free. Even schools can go in the city better if we just educate the kids and keep going forward.
Thank you very much, George Guidish, for your answer to that question. And move to the next question and Bill Smith will have the first answer. And I'll ask this question that was submitted. To structure improvements in the city. Bill?
Well, I'm not real sure that we can implement a sales tax in the city because we don't have home rule. So we can't do like a Mount Vernon or Fairview Heights. We can't just impose a city tax. So the only way we can improve our infrastructure is by saving money and getting grants and charging a user fee like for the water or sewer or something. And at this point, I feel like right now we can't charge any and we can't raise it. So we're trying to do what we can do with the money we have.
Thank you, Bill Smith. David Sauer has the next answer to the question.
I agree with Bill that we probably can't just willy-nilly go out there and raise sales taxes, although there are certain projects for which you can impose sales taxes. but I'd be opposed to that too. We're here to encourage business and encourage growth and make it easier to own property in Centralia. With this, we have reduced taxes the last 4 years. I believe we should be retaining business, do what we can. Growth is hard. It's not meaning we're not going to try to do it, but we have to make it easy for people to do business in Centralia. Infrastructure improvements should be paid for out of our general revenues, not through additional taxes.
Question comes from Jason Hunter.
A tax issue, that's just not, I mean, that makes no sense. I mean, raising taxes on the citizens is not going to do nothing. Creating a tax raising, it's not going to do nothing but cause a bigger poverty issue. So, I mean, and I don't think raising a tax is going to help out any. I mean, that's not going to help get any jobs here in town. It's not going to help the issues. It's going to actually make it worse if we try to raise, you know, or inward sales tax or something like that. We're not big like the Metro East and the St. Louis area. We're just not capable. I mean, you do that to a small town and it's going to run it down to the ground, and we don't need that. We need to make Centralia better. So I'm going to say no on that tax issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jason Hunter. Next answer to the question comes from Warren Hyde.
For taxes, I'd say no. We're taxed too much already. I mean, if you look at your receipt, even with the Walmart, there's 2 taxes already on there. I don't know if we're paying for Clinton County and somewhere else or what, but that's not doing nothing for Centralia. That just ruined this town. I think we can all pull together other ways and get this town to grow. Bring business in, something. Other than that, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Warren Hynes. The next answer to the question comes from.
You know, I find that interesting that we got a unified issue. I mean, everybody tends to agree on the same thing. Raising the sales tax wouldn't do anything. The main problem we have is the entire structure of taxes in itself. If there's 50 states in this United States and we pay more in federal tax than we do in our state tax on our paychecks, right there's your problem. If we paid a little bit different amount to the state and the state had more money to operate instead of the feds having most of it, you would not have any problems that we have right now. That would solve the issue. This town has the money to operate. You do not need to raise any sales tax whatsoever.
Thank you very much, George Guidish. And the final answer to the question comes from Andre Marshall.
I agree with the rest of the panel. As far as funding infrastructure, I think that does have to come out of the general fund. The city has done great getting grants to help with some of our infrastructure issues. I would like to continue on that path. In Marion County, we're taxed, let's just say, enough. We don't need more government imposing a sales tax. Thanks.
Very much, Andre Marshall. On to our, which will come from Jason Sylvie of the Centralia Sentinel, and be posed first to David Sauer.
Okay, the next question is, where do you see the city 5 years from now, and how can you be instrumental in getting there?
That's a good question. I think maybe we're over the financial hump. I've been pushing Danny Ramey, and of course he's been very willing on the demolition issue. I'd like to see this town improve its image, become a cleaner community. I'd like to see us use our resources. Again, that SWOT survey, we realized that one of the greatest resources we have in this community are our recreational resources. They're really not being used very well. I would like to see one more deputy placed on the, detective placed on the police department exclusively for drugs. I'd like to see our downtown improved, and moving the city hall, basically the building we got for free, downtown. Again, we can't vitalize the downtown like back in the old days, but we can at least make it look good. So when people come in and drive through this town, they say, hey, this is town. So I'd like to see us become a great small town in 5 years.
Thank you very much, David Sauer. The question comes, Jason.
Where do I see the city in the next 5 years? I hope it gets a little. I don't think that we needed, if, CRC moved out of that building, obviously, there's a reason why that it wasn't good enough for them. And, that's just another power bill and another expense to me, to the city. Obviously, I want to see the downtown area better in the next 5 years. I want to keep things moving forward. I want to make sure there's, programs, recreation programs for our youth, because that also help with a lot of the issues in town. I want to make sure that there's, obviously, if we can make the town better, there's going to be more jobs. We can get more people to come. The cleaner the town is, you're going to get people that's going to come and invest in their money and their time into our town. So it's going to also help. I want to be a part of that to help move it forward for my children and for myself. Thank you.
Next answer to the question comes from Warren.
Where I see the city next 5 years, okay. It's gonna take time. I don't think 5 years is gonna probably do it, but we're gonna make significant change, but it's gonna gradually get better. As far as anything, we gotta get, like I said, we gotta get the business in here, and then the city will grow. Without the business, there's no job, so we can't just pick on who we want to be here. Let everybody grow. Okay.
Turn to the question.
You read the question again, please. Sure.
Where do you see the city 5 years from now, and how can you get in there?
I won't deny at all that the current council has made progress in doing some things that I do like. I won't deny that at all. I'd like to see that to keep going forward. I would like to see, the crime rate reduced, the drug use reduced, city streets improved. We'd like to see more houses torn down, and I know they have done some of that. I got one next door to me. I'd love to see that thing go down tomorrow. We have to continue. The citizens have to become more involved. The biggest problem I have right now is when this city election comes, if I've noticed the last 5 years, about a third of the town, if that, votes in this city election. And that's one of the biggest problems here, is just the apathy of the majority of the town that's just not even involved. And that's what I'd like to see move forward in 5 years.
Thank you very much, George Guidish. Next answer to the question comes from Andre Marshall.
I'm optimistic about where Centralia will be in the next 5 years. I think the expansion of US 51 is something that our citizens should look forward to. I would hope that we would have a new hotel here within the next 5 years. That way, some of the people who come for the Balloon Fest or the Holiday Tournament or just simply family reunions will cash here in Centralia instead of taking it to one of our neighboring towns. Crime is down in Centralia. I want to keep that way. So I'm very optimistic on where we're going in 5 years. And I think the current council that we have can do the job.
Thank you very much, Andre Marshall. Bill Smith has the final answer to.
Like Andre, 5 years, I would like to see a hotel started or built. I'd like to see more houses tore down that are dilapidated and health hazards, those sort of things. I would like to see the roads improved, but we are on the way to paying off the bond that was left with us for our motor fuel tax. So once it's paid off, we've got double the money that we've had the last 5 years. So those sorts of things are going to turn around. It would keep going some major in Centralia with our infrastructure, our parks, and aesthetics and everything else. So that's where I see. I'm like Andre. I'm very optimistic. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill Smith, and that wraps up our answer to that question. And we the Shoppers Weekly for our next question for the candidates.
How do you propose to bring business and jobs here if elected on the council?
And the first answer to this question goes to Jason. Jason, coming up.
Will you repeat that one more time just so I make sure I can answer it fully?
How do you propose to bring businesses and jobs here if elected to the council?
Well, I'm not sure that I can actually physically myself bring jobs. That's almost impossible unless you're God, and I'm not God, so. But I do hope to get around to people that have businesses that's in neighboring areas and maybe try to help get them to branch out to open up to come here and make our town better. Myself, I want to see more jobs in this town for myself as a down the future, or for my children. I plan on trying to help get jobs anyway, whether it's with the current mayor or whoever will be mayor at that time. It's going to take time. You just can't get jobs to come overnight. It takes time to get businesses to come. We've got to show people that our town's great, and we've got to work on making things better. Our streets will also help with that. Anything we can do to make town better will help get jobs in this town. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. The next answer to the question comes from Warren Hynes. Warren?
I think there's many things we can do. I feel we can either have a committee to go out and contact businesses, whether it be I or somebody else. Just sit down and utilize the phone, internet. Our best tool, best weapon, internet. Contact them and contact the big guys and see if they want to invest or get in Centralia some way in a business. We're going to have to do something like that to try to get some attention to get them here in Centralia. Other than that, they won't know we exist. Centralia just keep getting smaller and smaller. People are having kids and leaving. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Warren Hynes. The next answer to the question comes from George Guidish.
I don't want to start beating horses at all, but I'm going to tell you again, politicians don't make jobs. They just don't do it. If we have an environment that fosters it with a low tax base and something, you still have to have a product that people want to buy. If you don't have it, you're wasting your time. I don't think, this current city manager's office, I think they do a decent job with the people they got that, they try. We're excited about any business that comes in this town. We're really excited, and we like seeing that. So we try to do that. We try to bring business in. It's still, are we a town that a business wants to come into? Do we have what people want to buy? That's a struggle for us to do it. You got to keep the tax base low and then encourage it and offer the incentives to do it. And I don't know if we can do any more right now at this time.
Thank you. Thank you, George Guidish, for your answer to that question. The next answer comes from Andre Marshall. Andre?
Thank you. In order to lure jobs to Centralia, I can think of a couple. Actually, the taxes in Marion County make it very difficult. Work comp rates in Illinois make it difficult. There are companies who are actually, like in Lawrenceville, Illinois, some of those companies are moving over to Indiana because it's more of a work-friendly state. And we're competing with neighboring towns when we're trying to lure people to start a business. So I think from the city standpoint, we just have to offer incentives when necessary and do whatever we can to get business here. But I think from a city standpoint, we just have to make it offer incentives. Thanks.
Thank you, Andre Marshall. The next answer from Bill Smith.
I think we've lured jobs here in the past 4 years, and I believe cleaning the city and making this town a friendly place to live and a good appearance, nice, helps, and the citizens help. If someone's in town and they see a friendly town, friendly people, that makes somebody want to live here. If you make somebody want to live here, then if they're involved with a company or a business, they would want to move here. So I'm like Andre, we're against the wall with our tax base in different counties and our tax base in the state and our workman comp rates. But they're all things that you can overcome in some way or form if you have the incentives and the appearance and the place that people want to live.
About a year ago, our city manager and mayor went to Springfield, met with the governor, got concessions from the governor, because we were close to having a shingle factory come to Centralia. They worked with local people, and we had the best arrangement for them, but they ended up going to Missouri because of the tax situation. It's something we have to deal with. You have to be aware of that. So first thing, and along the same ends, we have to retain the jobs we have. We have to work with the businesses that are here. As was stated, we can offer certain incentives, and we have an economic development director and a mayor and the city manager, all of whom are acutely aware of that. We're always considering various packages, working right now with a couple of big businesses here in town that are talking about expanding. How much tax incentives do you want to give a business? You know, put them in a TIP district and give them money. It's a balance, because sometimes you give them a lot of money and then they move as soon as they've taken the advantage. We have some difficulties, but we're certainly working on making it better.
Thank you, David Sauer. I'll ask the next question of the candidates, and the first answer will come from Warren Hynes. So Warren, if you want to come on up to the podium. The city of Centralia last week, a drug symposium. There was a good crowd. Lots of people seemed interested in pursuing the issue further. As a city councilman, what further direction would you like to see that effort go as far as a community effort to deal with the drug problem?
Well, I think I'd like to see it all cleaned up. I like to see the police actually doing their job, whether it's getting the state police involved or however those means go about. But we do have a problem in Centralia, and it's not just Centralia; it's coming out of Chicago and everywhere else. And best things said is police needs to do their job. I don't think they're quite doing all their job. I don't know if it takes a long time for them to take care of the situation, but they need to do it.
Thank you very much. Warren Hynes, the next answer to the question comes from George Guidish.
You know, the first thing you have to do when you talk about the drugs is that the easiest way to stop the drug problem is for people to quit using the illegal drugs. That's the quickest solution to it, and that's easier said than done. I would like to see the DARE program brought back, and I'd like to see the Centralia Police lead the effort along with Marion County and have a DARE program in every one of the schools, along with the younger kids. You know, as far down as when you get below third grade, I don't think those kids necessarily understand anything beyond that. I do think the police work very hard, and I work with them on occasion to try and stop and curtail. You know, we have to make decent arrests. You have to get rid of the problem here in town and get those people out of here, and don't give the drug dealers a reason to even exist in our town.
Thank you very much, George Guidish. Andre Marshall has the next answer to the question.
I think our police force does a good job also in regards to the fight or the war on drugs. I actually learned a lot during the drug forum last week. I think one of the main things from a law enforcement standpoint is we want the city police to work we can learn the best way to fight this issue.
Thank you very much, Andre Marshall. Bill Smith has the next answer to the question. Bill?
I attended the drug symposium last week. It was very informative. I think our police do an excellent job. I think that their odds are against them when they start out because the criminal has the rights, the police have none. So I think what we're going to have to do is, like Andre said, we're going to have another forum. We need the citizens involved, because if we don't know, if the police don't know what's going on and where it's at, if somebody doesn't tell them, they have no way to know. So I think more of these forums, more town meetings, more information, and everybody gets on the wagon to go and take care of this neighborhood by neighborhood, we'll eventually get a handle on. So that's where I think we need to go with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill Smith. David Sauer has the next answer to the question.
If you were at that forum the other night, I think you saw part of the answer, because by the end of that evening, there was a certain feeling of unity. We all understood something more about the problem, and we were all working together. There was just a feeling in that room, and that is part of the solution. This community itself needs to work together and start calling the police every time you have some suspicion. That was one of the things that came up. We need this community working together against, especially, let's talk about heroin, meth, and the synthetic substances that are really killing the people out there. I think the Centralia Police Department is doing a very good job with the resources they have. We do need another detective, and I'd like to see that person exclusively working on only heroin, meth, and the synthetic drugs. Those are the big money makers, those are the big killers. And eventually, the long answer is, you improve your community, you have less desire to using drugs.
Thank you, David Sauer. Jason Hunter has the next answer to the question. Jason?
Repeat that, Bruce, question.
Sure. There was a drug symposium held in Centralia and the question was, where would you like to see this effort that included getting citizen involvement go in the future?
Well, obviously, the city being involved will help out a lot of issue, and as some of the other guys said, I agree. Our police department, they do great with what they can do with, with limited staffing. Obviously, if we can get some more officers, we can do that with. We need to also look into maybe getting just a task force. I mean, I know that causes some money issues, but I think if we can get a task force of a few officers who, that's what they directly deal with, is a drug issue in the town. I know Marion County just recently got a thing with a tip hotline. We need to look at that into the city also, that people can leave anonymous tip, through via text message and not know, because there's issues there. Everybody knows what's going on in town. I mean, everybody knows. There's no secret. Obviously, if, there's people that just don't want to come out because they're afraid. And obviously, if the drug is an issue, and I'd like to see it all gone, but, it's steps at a time. It's small steps. It's not something that can be conquered overnight. We start with small steps. Obviously, if we get another officer, that helps out, and so on and so on. The more we can do for the community to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason Hunter, for your answer to the question. And we'll now move on to our next question from our media panel. It will come from Jason Sylvia of the Centralia Sentinel, and it will be directed first to George Guidish.
What do you feel are the biggest challenges facing Centralia's young people?
The biggest problem is always going to be the opportunity. I think I deal with young kids all the time, and I've coached wrestling for many years out at the high school. I also coach football and youth football league. There's a lot of kids who people don't understand what they like to do, what their interests are, where they want to go, because not everybody's a football player and a basketball player or a wrestler. There's people who are artists, people who are musicians. Kids got to have that opportunity, and they got to be let go a little bit so that they can figure out what they like to do, what interests them, and what direction they want to go. In a free society, they can choose to do nothing the rest of their life as long as they're not a burden on us. I don't care. So whatever they want to do, whatever interests them, we got to find out from an early age exactly what they like to do and where they want to go.
Thank you very much, George Guidish. The next answer to the question comes from Andre Marshall.
I think our youth face several challenges. I think our school districts do a wonderful job, especially District 135, with the children. My grandma used to say, "I don't mind, it's a devil's workshop." So I think it's important for the kids to have mentors. I'm actually supposed to meet out at my wife's school tomorrow for the first time. So it's important going forward and that we just stay involved in their lives.
Thank you very much. Andre Martin Smith.
I think the biggest challenge that kids have is getting involved. We as parents and grandparents and citizens and school teachers, we just got to get them involved in whatever there is. I know the city manager, he's tried to lower the rates at the rec department so more kids and more children can be involved, whether it's not a financial fine, those sort of things. We heard the other night about the mentor program at the junior high. I think it's a wonderful thing. So I believe that's probably where we need to head and keep going. I think as long as we keep the young people involved, they have a place to go and a thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill Smith. David Sauer.
I don't think the challenges for kids in Centralia are unique to kids in Centralia. If there's one thing I think is the biggest challenge for children here, it's their darn parents. That's where you got to start with your. We can help. That doesn't mean we should abandon the kids though, who don't have good parents. Indeed, that's why I very much support the truancy court program, the drug court program, the mentoring program. There are other things in this community that are, I'd say, we're peculiarly good for kids. That is, we have good schools, we have good sporting activities, we have good recreational activities, we have lots of options for children to do. And maybe most importantly, any kid who shows up will not be anonymous. Any kid who shows up will be known, and if they get involved in drugs or something else, in a small town, it's a little harder to get away with those things. So if there's one thing, I'd say fix the parents. If you can't fix the parents, we'll step in for them, and that's all we can do.
David Sauer. Jason, answer to the question.
There's a lot of challenges for our youth. I mean, you know, it's not out there where we need issues. I mean, there's programs that we need to get involved in. I do want to see, obviously, I get our rec programs to build up a little more. I mean, obviously, if we can get the kids more involved in the community, that's going to help down with some of the issues with the drugs and you know, the violence and all that. I mean, our youth is the future of this town. I mean, you know, parents have to step up. I mean, I know I'm not the best parent, but, you know, I try to raise my kid right. I want him to know right and wrong, and that's the first step is parents. As a parent, we had to make sure our kids know right and wrong to do that because they're challenging issues. I want to see the programs go. I want to see the programs get better, and, you know, for those around. I mean, let's see. I mean, let's look at see if there's grant issues or what we can do to help get more funding to help the children. Because, like I said, the children are the future of this town. Thank you.
The next answer to the Hynes, Warren.
I often hear these kids complain they have nothing to do. They don't want to sit at home and do homework. You guys, grown folks here, you guys forgot what it's like being a kid. So you guys aren't even making, you know, things for the kids to do properly. You gotta figure out what these kids like to do. So, you know, they have to find their own way, but you're to guide them. And Center $2 a day to send their kids, you know. Kids want to go there every day sometimes. and that gets costly. We got to come up with a better thing, whether it's to remove the prices on the rec center or what, but got to do something better. Thank you.
Thanks for your answer to that question. And we've run out of time for the question and answer portion of the program, so we'll now move into the 2-minute closing statements, where each candidate will have 2 minutes to sort of wrap up their thoughts, give any closing statements they wish, and we'll start in our order that we did for the opening statements. So George Guidish, you're first up for your 2-minute close.
I'm not going to try and give anybody any kind of spin or anything. It's, I want to wish all the candidates good luck. I hope that whoever gets elected to the city council does a good job of representing the city and help move the sport. And I hope that a majority of the citizens out and vote on April 7th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Comments from Andre Marshall.
To Kelsheimer and the chamber for hosting this forum. Going forward, I just want to say it's a true honor and be able to help my hometown from the council seat. If elected, I'll use my voice and the power that the council seat provides me to continue moving Centralia in the right direction. It's just been a true honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre Marshall, for your closing statement.
I want to thank the chamber for this, and Bruce and everybody for moderating. And I think the last 4 years has been a real challenge, but I enjoyed serving. My experience with being a road superintendent for a construction company for 25 years, I've got to be able to do some things and have some input on the Centralia. I would like to continue to do that going forward. It's a lot of times people think it's an easy job. It's not, but the thing I enjoy most is the opportunity to serve the citizens of Centralia. And you live here all your life, it's feeling that you give something back. So that's my whole reason for running and being on the council, is thinking that I can give something back to the city and help it move forward. And I think for the last 4 years, we've done a pretty good job of that. So I appreciate the opportunity, and I thank you, and I hope everyone does vote. And if we don't vote, we can't complain. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill Smith. Next closing comment from David Sauer.
Andre Naylor, it is really an honor to be on the city council. It's humbling sometimes, and I want to thank the chamber and everyone else involved here tonight. The past 4 years have been 4 years of improvement in Centralia. That's a fact. Here's young Andre Marshall, great young man from town, leaves town for a while, comes back with a degree in MBA, and with a local girl who he marries, and they're living here, raising their family. Great story. And he's an accountant, and he's a CPR. He's a master's in business administration. Good guy to have on the council. Bill here, he is a small business owner, but what I like about Bill is that he was a superintendent for general contractors. Believe it or not, the city does a lot of street work and sewer work and things with pipes and stuff, and I don't know that stuff. Bill does. Good thing. Tom Ashby, he knows the city. He's worked for the city. He knows half the people in the state of Look at how he's been running the city for the past 4 years. Things are going well. We shouldn't change that. Let's keep going forward.
Thank you, David Sauer. That comes from Jane Hynes.
First of all, I want to thank the chamber for inviting me to this, Bob and Sonia for letting us use your place, and Bruce and the rest of the crew here for being here. Obviously, I mean, I'm not going to make any promises that I can change the whole town in 4 years, but I'm going to try to do everything I can in those 4 years to change it. Obviously, I want to work on some staffing issues if I'm elected, and I want to be your people, but some of the staffing issues I want to look at. I want to look at getting us an independent fire chief. We need somebody there. There's a safety issue there. We need to look at getting some staff issues, a few guys there. I want to look at building some staffing issues and making sure we got programs for our youth and work forward. You know, the council guys, they've done a great job. I'm not going to bash any of them because they've done what they can do with their availability. I'm not like that. I want to make sure that if I'm elected as your city councilman, I want to work for you, the citizens, to make sure that I can make things better. Like I said, one was do with our youth program and, you know, in our drug court and whatnot, and let's make this town better. Because if we can make our town better, we'll have some issues that will go away. Obviously, 4 years, can we make all this happen with the staffing issues that we have? I don't know, but I'm going to try to do what I can do with the mayor and the rest of the council if I'm elected. I want to be your city councilman. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason Hunter, for your closing comments. Closing comments.
Well, I want to thank everyone for being here, and those of you guys take time out to listen to us on the radio and here as well. I want to be the voice for you guys out there. I want to be able to make a difference in this town, and the most important thing is to give you guys back your community. I don't think you guys got it. Somebody else has got it. Time to get it back. I want to make a lot of improvements in many things, and hopefully it'll improve your lives as well. Most of all, I want to keep everybody happy in this town. So let's try to do that.
Thank you, Hynes, for your closing statements. Let's give all of our candidates a big hand this evening. Once again, I have one 2-year seat open. That is a contest between George Guidish and Andre Marshall, so they're running against each other. And then there are running for the Sauer, and then challengers Jason Hunter and Warren Hynes. And I know they'd all appreciate you going out and voting next Tuesday. Polls open 6 a.m., close at 7 p.m. And we're going to take about a 5-minute break and reorganize and be back with our mayoral candidate forum.